Not much of a statement. I just wanted to uh, obviously talk about the fact that this is a very unfortunate injury at a very inopportune moment. But Jonathan knows that he has the support of the entire organization behind him, and we know um, through who Jonathan is and through history how he's going to approach his rehab. And I can tell you, today in his mind is day one of his rehab. Um, so I just wanted to begin by saying that, and obviously open up to all questions.
Okay, guys, if you raise your hand in the Zoom, I will call on you. First question goes to Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Jeff, given the track record and the due diligence that you guys have shown in bringing back players from injuries, particularly serious injuries, how frustrating is it when you take those precautions and you monitor the progress of a player like Jonathan, only to see, his knee take another injury like that?
Roy, I can talk about organizational frustration. I can talk about, the team coming together and all those things, but I just would be remiss if I just didn't lead by saying how sickening it is just for the whole organization to see Jonathan go through that. You're talking about a guy who has just put so much work into getting back in time to join his team here. And to see him go through that, to see him experience that, is just a gut punch for him. Obviously, organizationally, it's a setback for Jonathan. It's a setback. We will move forward. We will live to fight another day. But right now, just kind of thinking about him.
Dan Savage, Orlando Magic.
Jeff, when you're dealing with such a devastating situation like this, how much does it matter that Jonathan has such a strong faith, such a strong work ethic, and we've seen it demonstrated before how willing he is to work to get this in a situation where, some guys might not have the same reaction?
Yeah. You guys know, those that follow us locally, how special a person Jonathan is. His dedication to his craft and his devotion to his faith. And he's already got a track record, unfortunately, of how he's going to approach this injury, how he's going to approach the rehab, the work ethic and the positivity that he's going to bring to all that bears. And so it's unfortunate that we're talking about this yet again, but there's one thing that you know about Jonathan Isaac is he's going to make the best of it.
Josh Robbins.
Jeff, was this ACL tear related to his injury on January 1st? And was Jonathan brought back too quickly?
Well, first question first, Josh. No, it was completely unrelated. There were no structures in the knee that were damaged in the first injury that were impacted in this most recent injury whatsoever. It was completely unrelated. And absolutely unequivocally not brought back too early. As a matter of fact, again, those of you guys that follow us locally know that if we're ever going to be criticized as to the timing of returning our players to play, it's at the other end of the spectrum. It's that we're too cautious, we wait too long, take too careful an approach. And the approach to Jonathan's injury was no different than any other injury we've had in the last 3 years. We were very careful. There were a series of progressions that he had to work through. After each one, we visited with performance, with the doctors, with Jonathan's agent, and with Jonathan himself. We talked about it, how he was feeling, what the numbers were showing, and we move on to the next hurdle. And he just kept clearing the hurdles. And so I can unequivocally say that he was not brought back too soon and that he's followed the same protocol that every one of our injured players has followed since we've been here.
Philip Rossman-Reich.
Obviously, the recovery is going to be a long process, but you guys have another player within the family. I mean, he may not be with the team in full yet, and Chuma Okeke, who is working to come back from a torn ACL. How is everyone's obviously different in how they come back, but how is the process of helping him as much as you guys have at this point? How much is helping him coming back and understanding how he come back? How is that going to help you guys prepare Isaac, and how is having Chuma around next year possibly going to help with Isaac's recovery?
Yeah. Chuma, obviously, when we drafted him, had already had the injury and had the operation done. So he was, you know, we got him at a later stage. Obviously, Jonathan, we have a lot of work to do in the near future, and to collect data and design a course of action. Chuma, it was more kind of he was ready for rehab, and you know, he dove right into that. So. Obviously, same injury, both exceptionally high character, hardworking kids. But obviously, we got Chuma at a later stage. So I think there is some overlap. I mean, obviously, our staff will go through the same series of progressions with Jonathan that we've gone through with Chuma. But we just obviously got Chuma at a later place in his rehab.
Eric Wilson, 1070 Port Charlotte.
Jeff, just wanted to ask you, will Jonathan remain in the bubble with the team, or will he be leaving the bubble during this rehab period?
Jonathan has left the bubble. We are, the NBA has done an unbelievable job of giving us everything that we could possibly ask for, and even many things that none of us had even thought about. And the fact that Jonathan was able to go from the arena to in 5 minutes to get into an MRI machine is just speaks to how spectacular of a job the league has done with the Disney campus. But that being said, it's a mobile unit, and we want to generate a better set of images as priority one. And so Jonathan has left Disney. He is going to, we're going to get those images in short order. And then we will be consulting with our team doctor and other physicians as well to design a course of action for next steps.
Back to Dan Savage.
Jeff, obviously, ideally, you'd never have to deal with something like this, but you know, how prepared do you guys feel with the extensive team that you've built, from David to Lindsay to Samir to Aki, the list goes on, with your high performance staff to help him along the way with something like this?
I mean, I think we have crackerjack performance staff. I think that what they've done here has been terrific. They've gained trust of all of our players. They've ramped up, I think, a lot of areas where we needed to get better. Unfortunately, it is kind of a strange dynamic right now, being in the bubble and not being able to kind of traverse the bubble. So we have to kind of, like, that's part of next steps, is figuring out exactly what Jonathan needs and then understanding our own personnel and how we're going to attack that.
Back to Josh Robbins.
Jeff, what kind of data do you have? What kind of anecdotal data do you have that indicates or maybe doesn't indicate that someone with an ACL injury, perhaps someone at J.I.'s height, can come back as good or better than he was before the injury? In other words, do you believe that he will have any long-term effects here where he will not be as effective in terms of agility, speed, explosiveness as he was before the injury?
No, I mean, obviously, as I just said, we want to generate the best data that we can before we design a course of action and get into specifics. But I can tell you that we were on calls last night with our team doctor, and obviously it's no secret that they've come a long way with ACLs in the last, whatever it's been, 20, 15, 10 years. And that it's kind of, it's a much more commonplace injury now. And I don't think it's looked upon the same way that it used to be, where it's not only gonna not end your career, but it generally, if you look at a lot of the players that have recovered from this injury, won't even affect your career, but for the fact that you're going to be out, you know, the timeline part of it. But we fully expect Jonathan to have a full recovery and come back bigger and stronger. He's 22, and you know he's gonna start filling into his body. He already has, and I think our fans were starting to see some of the impact of that. And we fully expect Jonathan to be stronger for this, a better player, and to be everything that he was going to be and more.
Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel.
Jeff, I got on a little bit late, but can you just address the, I don't know what your emotions are. I'm sure there's some sadness after seeing how hard Jonathan worked to get back. Just your emotions when you saw it last night, and also your concerns about his injury situation. He's had a lot of injuries over the last 3 years, and how concerned are you about that?
Well, to your first question, Mike, I mean, it just took the air out of the building. I'm sure on TV you could feel that it just sucked the air out of the building, and you know, it was very emotional for Jonathan. He had invested so much time, so much energy, so much work into getting back to join his teammates expeditiously, and for this to just be such a bang bang, just like that. Was kind of had an air of shock to it for all of us, I think. I can tell you that by the time we got back to the hotel last night, he had collected himself, and this morning he was back to his old self, chipper and ready to, as I said earlier, kind of like looking at this as day one of his recovery. To the second part of your question, look, Jonathan, you're right, has had significant injuries, 2 significant injuries now in 3 years. And it's something that we talk about a lot. We have to pay attention to. We deal a lot with biomechanics and, markers of every single possible kind. And Jonathan's body has progressed through a series of changes since we've been here, all for the better. And honestly, Mike, this injury was not related to his first. It was just, one of the doctors told me that this landing would have resulted in this impact, this result for any player in the NBA. And he's actually lucky that he was wearing his knee brace at the time.
Josh Cohen.
Hey, Jeff, just based on what you've seen and felt, how are JI's teammates and the coaching staff kind of handling the news, and are they helping try to lift his spirits as much as they can?
Yeah, it's so funny, Josh, because, Jonathan Isaac, I go, to see him this morning before he left, go to pick him up, and he picks me up. There's music coming from his room, and I'm, just give him a big hug, and it's just, that's Jonathan, So Jonathan, has his devotion to his craft. He has his devotion to his religion, and he has his people, and he has the full support of the organization. He knows what's ahead of him, unfortunately, more than most. And so he doesn't need to be picked up a lot, and our team has, they were supporting him. I think they got to see him off this morning. Obviously, they're all on a text chain and all supporting him 100% through everything that he goes through. But as far as the coaches and the team preparation right now, we play the Pacers tomorrow night. And, right now we happen to be playing very good basketball, and those guys are focused in right there as we speak. So, it's about tomorrow night's game, and trust me, Jonathan will remain in everyone's thoughts throughout this, our time here on the campus, and I'm sure our guys will stay in close touch with him. But we support him, and we also have to get ready to play tomorrow night.
Okay, we have time for one more. We will go back to Josh Robbins.
Jeff, obviously JI is a critical person for the team long term in its aspirations to improve. Given this injury, how does this impact how you will approach roster construction beginning with next season and in seasons beyond?
It's a very good question, Josh, but it's not a question for today, I think. We haven't had time to digest any of that. Right now, we're focused on tomorrow's game and finishing strong here. And more immediately, we're focused on getting Jonathan the best possible help that we can right now, and get him through this process as effectively as we possibly can. And we want to find the best course of action for him, and that's going to take a lot of time and work this week, and that's what's in front of us right now. In addition to finishing strong here at Disney and that other stuff, you're right. I mean, those are important questions, but we'll have to get to that at a later date.
I have a quick follow-up question, if you don't mind. Did Jonathan suffer, in addition to the ACL tear, any meniscus damage?
We're doing, as I said, we're getting, we're working on generating a more complete set of imaging, and we're trying to compile as much data as we can. But you know, it's just an ACL, and we want to see if the imaging shows anything else or any other nuances that we need to be aware of. So, you know, we'll have more information as we work through this week and design a plan.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, thanks.
Thank you.